Please raise your right hand for me. You swear or affirm the evidence you're going to provide in the hearing in this case is going to be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Thank you. Please be seated and give your attention there to Ms. Hart.
I need you to introduce yourself to the jury, please.
Good morning. My name is Jared Luke. I am assistant principal here at the high school and middle school. I'm born and raised in this city. I've been here my whole life.
And you said you're an assistant principal. How long have you been the assistant principal?
This is going on my third year.
Prior to being the assistant principal, did you work at the school?
I did.
In what capacity?
I was a teacher.
How long have you been a teacher?
This is my 12th year.
Now I want to direct your attention back to 2005.
Okay.
How old would you have been in 2005?
17.
Did you know Sarah Grinstead, the victim in this case?
I did.
How did you know Ms. Grinstead?
She taught me in high school.
Were you still in high school in October of 2005 when she went missing?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have her for one class or more than one class?
I don't recall. I know I had her for U.S. history.
Okay. What year would that have been?
My junior year, I believe.
Would that have been the same year that she went missing or a year before?
Year before.
Now, the weekend that she went missing, did you have, and I don't want you to tell me what she said, but did you have an occasion to speak with her or see her leading up to that weekend?
Yes.
And why was it that you either spoke or saw Ms. Grinstead leading up to that weekend?
Well, I saw her at school, of course.
Yes,
and then she also kept my dog that weekend that she went missing.
Okay. And what kind of dog did you have?
A German Shepherd.
How old was your dog?
He was a puppy. He was less than a year old.
Why did you need Ms. Grinstead to keep your dog for you?
I didn't. She offered to keep the dog that weekend. She also had a German Shepherd named Dolly. She knew I had just gotten a puppy, German Shepherd, and so we both had a love for German Shepherds. And she knew we were going out of town. She offered to keep Duke that weekend for me.
Okay. Now, did you personally take your dog to her house?
I believe I did.
And do you recall what day of the week that would have been?
It would have been on Friday because we left that day.
And then, did you ever return to her residence?
Yes, I did.
What day did you return to her residence? What day of the week did you return to her residence?
That Sunday.
That Sunday. Now, when you returned on Sunday, was your dog still there?
No.
Did you know that your dog was not going to be there?
I did know that.
How had your dog gotten away from her residence?
My brother came and picked my dog up that Saturday.
Okay. And were you aware that your brother was going to go pick the dog up on Saturday?
Yes.
Now, why then did you go to her residence on Sunday?
Because he picked the dog up on Saturday, but did not pick up the food and water bowl and all that. So all the accessories, I guess you would say, were still there.
Okay. Now, again, I don't want you to tell me what she said, but did you speak with Ms. Grinstead after your brother had picked up the dog?
I don't remember speaking with her on the phone. I think my sister did speak with her. One of us did, but
yes.
I don't remember speaking to her.
Okay. Now, what was your brother's name who went and picked up the dog?
Philip Luke.
And what was your sister's name?
Lee Luke.
Had you ever been to her residence prior to dropping the dog off on Friday?
Not that I recall. I knew where she lived. This was a small town, so I knew exactly where she lived, but I don't ever recall being there or going inside or anything of that nature.
When you went to drop your dog off, did you go take the dog inside the house or somewhere else?
There was a backyard. There was a fenced-in backyard, and that's where I dropped the dog off that I recall.
Do you recall she was present on Friday when you dropped the dog?
I don't believe she was, no.
And then when you went back on Sunday to pick up the water bowl and the other items, where did you go to get those items?
First, when I got there, I pulled up in the yard. I went to the front door, knocked on the door. Nobody answered the door. When I didn't get an answer, I walked around through the gate in the backyard to on the left side of the garage.
Yes, sir.
The food and water bowl were told that they were in the shed and it was in the backyard.
Yes, sir.
So I went to the shed, opened the shed, food and water bowl there. I retrieved them, went back to my truck and left.
I'm going to show you some children defense counsel have been marked as State's Exhibits 35 through 39.
Okay.
Ask you to take a look at those for me, please.
Okay.
Do you recognize what's depicted in each of those?
I do, yes, ma'am.
And are each of those true and accurate depictions of the scene at the backyard and the residence of Miss Grinstead as it appeared October of 2005?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, at this time I would tender into evidence State's Exhibits 35 through 39.
Any objections? Thank you, Dr. Miller. You got it?
Thank you.
Well,
Okay. If I do this right, they're going to appear on that screen in front of you.
okay.
Can you see what's depicted in State's 35?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, can you tell the jury what it is that we're looking at in State's 35?
Looks like her backyard, looks like her garage. Her car is under the garage. And to the left there, in the back middle of the picture on the left side, would have been where the shed, yeah, that would have been where the shed was at.
Okay. Now, when you parked to go pick up the water bowl, can you tell us in connection with where her car is, where it is you would have parked?
I pulled right behind her car, if I remember correctly,
Okay. So,
to the best of my knowledge.
do you recall about what time of day or night it was that you went there on Sunday?
It was, I know in my previous statement that I read earlier today, it said 7:30 or 8, but it was still daylight outside on that Sunday when I went. So it was not dark yet.
Sunday, at daylight hours, you recall parking behind her vehicle at her residence?
Correct.
I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 37. And can you tell the jury what it is we're looking at there, please?
That is her dog, Dolly.
Okay. And this fence that we see, have you ever seen that fence before?
Not in my recollection, I don't.
I know you said that's her dog, Dolly. Are you able to tell us where it is Dolly appears to be in that picture?
No, ma'am, I'm not.
State's Exhibit 38. Do you recognize what we're looking at in State's 38?
No, ma'am. I mean, I'm assuming it's her house, but I don't know what side of the house it is.
Okay, that's what I don't want you to assume, but you don't know which portion of the house it is.
Correct.
Okay. However, does it appear to be one side of the house that you went to that day? Not necessarily the side of the house that you went, but does it appear to be the same house?
It appears to be the same house, yes.
Okay. Sorry, that was a poorly worded question. State's 39. Do you recognize what we're looking at there?
That's the shed in the backyard.
Okay. And would that be the shed that you discussed earlier?
It would be, yes, ma'am.
If we're looking at the front of the house, at the front door, is that shed to the right or to the left?
To the right, to the best of my knowledge.
So when you parked behind her vehicle that afternoon, would you have walked to the right or to the left?
I first went to the right to the door. This shed is in the backyard on the back right corner.
Yes, sir.
From what I remember.
Okay.
So when I got out of my truck, I would have walked at like an angle to the door.
Okay. So I'm going to show you another picture that's already been tendered, which is State's Exhibit 6.
Okay.
Can you tell us then, looking at this, does this depict the approximate location of where you may have parked that day?
It depicts her front door. I wouldn't have pulled up right behind her car. Wouldn't have been right behind it. I would have pulled in the driveway that is the straight path to her garage.
Yes, sir.
And then walked across the yard from the middle, if that makes sense. Like, I wouldn't have went at a 90-degree angle to the front door. I'd have went across the middle of the yard.
Okay. And now I know it's hard to see in these, but did she have a pathway leading up to the door that you can recall?
I vaguely remember one, but don't specifically recall a pathway.
Okay.
But seeing that picture does like there may have been stones leading up to it.
Okay. And then what about State's 44?
Yes,
Again,
ma'am.
looking at that, can you tell us where you would have been parked?
The bottom left corner down here, where you see this pathway leading?
Right here?
Yes, ma'am. Somewhere in that area is where I would have parked.
Okay.
And then I'd have walked directly in front of that pine tree to the door.
Okay. So to be clear, and I apologize, I'm having to look at it upside down when I put
Gotcha.
it up here, but you're saying you walked in front of this pine tree?
Correct.
So would this bed of straw that I'm pointing to here have been in front of you or behind you when you walked up there?
It would have been behind me.
Okay. Were you inspecting the straw to see if there was anything laying in it?
No, ma'am.
Okay. If there had been something laying in that straw, do you think that you may have missed it, or you may have seen it, or you just don't know?
I just don't know.
Okay. So I understand, are you telling the jury there was not anything in the straw, or you just don't know?
I didn't see anything in the straw.
Okay.
I didn't see anything on the ground or in the straw. No, I didn't.
Were you looking for anything?
I was not looking for anything either.
Okay. And then, lastly, States 36. I'm sort of jumping around, but I apologize. This is one where you identify, and I know it's difficult to see, but I believe is this part, and I can bring it to you if you need to, because it's hard to see on here. Would this have been the shed side of the house that you recall?
Will you bring it to me, please?
It's extremely difficult to see when it's printed.
I can't make out what that is.
That's fine. I appreciate it. I think I may have asked you this, but to be clear, did anyone else go with you to her residence on October 22nd of 2005?
No, ma'am. Nobody went with me. When I left, my cousin did walk. They lived catty corner to Miss Grinstead. Bryson Boykins was his name. He did walk over, and we had a conversation right there in the driveway.
Yes, sir.
And then he left, and I left.
And what was his name again?
Bryson Boykin.
Okay. And that conversation, I'm assuming, did that have anything to do with this case?
No, not at all.
And I want to clarify, when you say you initially walked to the front door, why did you walk to the front door?
To knock on it.
Did you knock on it?
I did.
Did anyone come to the front door?
Nobody.
And the entire time you were there that day, how long would that have taken?
In my statement previously that I read right before this, it said I was there for approximately 15 minutes. That seems far-fetched. I would assume probably 7-8 minutes.
Okay.
Knock on the door. I walked to the left. Her car was on my right. Walked to the gates. Walked right to the shed in the back.
Yes, sir.
Got the food and water bowl. Walked back out. I talked to Bryson for just a second. He parted ways. I went my own way.
Okay.
So 5-8 minutes.
During that time frame, however long it was, did anyone ever come out of the residence?
No, ma'am.
And did you ever see Terry Grinstead again?
I did not, no, ma'am.
Ma'am, just a moment. No further questions.
All right, Ms. Gibb, any questions, Mr. Luke?
I do, Your Honor. So, Mr. Luke, it was Sunday, October 23rd, was when you visited Ms. Grinstead's residence to get the, I think you called dog accessories.
Correct.
And you said it was about 7:30 or so that afternoon.
Somewhere around that time. It was still daylight hours.
So it was daylight.
Correct.
Did you have any trouble seeing your surroundings when you got to Ms. Grinstead's house?
No, sir.
When you arrived at her house, you parked in the driveway behind her car.
Correct.
And you walked from your vehicle directly to her front door first.
Correct.
And when you were walking to her front door, you did not see a glove anywhere in that yard when you were walking to her front door.
I did not, no, sir.
And you didn't see no kind of trash or other debris in
No,
the front
sir.
yard. And you went to her front door, you testified you knocked on the door.
Correct.
No one answered the door.
Correct.
Did you see anything out of the ordinary about the door?
No, sir.
No marks or anything like that to indicate that it has been forced open, nothing like that?
No, sir.
And there was no answer to the door.
Correct.
And you said you walked around the left side. You actually left the front door and you walked around the left side of her house.
Correct.
And when you walked from the front door of her house around towards the backyard, did you see a glove or anything like that in her yard?
No, sir, I didn't.
And you went in the backyard, you got the water bowl and other accessories,
Correct.
and then you left the backyard.
Correct.
And you walked back to your truck.
Correct.
And on the walk from the backyard to your truck, did you see a glove on the ground anywhere in Miss Grinstead's yard?
No, sir, I didn't.
And you testified that you spoke to your cousin, I believe, for a few minutes in Miss Grinstead's yard.
Correct.
And during that conversation, you didn't see a glove anywhere in Miss Grinstead's yard.
No, sir, I didn't.
And you testified it was daylight. You had no trouble seeing Miss Grinstead's yard during this conversation.
Correct.
And again, this was Sunday, October 23rd, about 7:30.
Correct.
No further questions?
All right, do you read right, Sergeant?
Yes, sir. Showing you again State's Exhibit 4. The location of where her vehicle is depicted in State's Exhibit 4, would that be consistent with where you saw her vehicle on Sunday, October 23rd, 2005?
Yes, ma'am.
And the conversation that you had with your cousin, did that take place in the yard, or did it take place back at your vehicle?
Where you pointing at now?
Back at where your vehicle would have been?
Correct.
Okay. So to your knowledge, did you ever see your cousin come up to this location?
No, ma'am.
That's all the questions I have.
Follow up, Mr. Gibbs. All right, Mr. Luke, thank you for your testimony, sir. You're welcome to,
Am I released?
just say,
Okay.
you're welcome to stay, go, you are released. But
Gotcha.
don't discuss the testimony you've given here to this jury this morning with any other witness to this case until the case is over, okay?
Yes, sir.
Good.
Thank you.
Mr. Luke, and be on your way. All right.